Supreme Court held today, they turned district courts into the imperial judiciary. To put this in perspective, there are 94 federal judicial districts. 5 of those districts throughout this country held 35 of the nationwide injunctions. Think about that, 94 districts. And 35 out of the 40 opinions with nationwide injunctions came from 5 liberal districts in this country. No longer. No longer.
All right, no longer is right. Supreme Court ends the abuse of these imperial judicial supremacy injunctions. Joining us to talk about it, Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt. Senator Schmitt, former Attorney General of Missouri, now a senator. This is a hell of a decision. And really, will it stop the activist judges from ruining President Trump's agenda?
Yeah, this is a huge win, not only for President Trump, but the rule of law and the separation of powers. I mean, it works a bunch of different ways, right? The court is a check on the legislative branch, but this was really the court's check on the judicial branch by saying a single district court judge can't have these nationwide injunctions in direct national policy like these rogue liberal activist judges have had. And as Pam Bondi just said, in a really limited number of district courts. And so this is huge. I think when this was being argued by the Solicitor General, John Sauer, who was actually my former Solicitor General in Missouri, this point was being made in oral argument. So if you read the tea leaves, this was the real opportunity to rein this in. And I think the court did the right thing here. The 6 conservative justices, I think, really showed that they're serious about the separation of powers and reining in these rogue judges.
So that's going to be, that opens the door. My other point is, I mean, I'm not the lawyer you are, but I'm just saying that removes a major obstacle to Mr. Trump's agenda. I think that's very important. You can't just going to find yourself, cherry pick some liberal judge in Boston or someplace like that, big blue state Boston, and stop him from reducing personnel or cutting back on waste, fraud, and abuse, and so forth and so on. That's really the meat and potatoes meaning of this, isn't it?
That's right, and you kind of zoom out a little bit, Larry. It's really going to matter. I mean, I'll be handling the rescissions package in the Senate once we get past the reconciliation, the big, beautiful bill. So you've got decisions that the president has made. Of course, he can make decisions on personnel and programming. That's kind of at the heart of that. And what it really opens the door, I think, is for President Trump wants to meet mass migration with mass deportation. So in that big, beautiful bill, you've got money for ICE agents, more detention beds, and judges. You're going to now see him be able to execute on that agenda, and you're not going to have some rogue district court judge stop all the deportations in the country like they were trying to do just a couple of months ago. Yeah,
terrific stuff. Senator, let me switch gears a little bit. Something you've been working on. Can you get your paws on these autopen archives and these autopen data? I know you're hot on the trail. I've been reading about it. It's probably a noble cause. It would be certainly revealing to the American people if you could. Where's all this stand, Senator Schmitt?
Well, and having co-chaired the committee hearing just a week ago, the more you learn about what was going on, or maybe what we don't really know what was going on inside the Oval Office, this really is a scandal bigger than Watergate. I mean, the idea that you would have a president not in his full capacity, and you've got, of course, whistleblowers who've come forward saying he couldn't find his way to the bathroom. Who was actually in charge of the country? Like, this is kind of an important question in our constitutional republic. Like, we just saw the command and control President Trump had of the office going back to last Saturday with those incredible B-2 airstrike, to the decisions he's making, all the trade deals, all the things that happen inside that Oval Office. Who was actually in charge? It's probably a small group of left-wing radicals that opened up our borders and, caused all the damage that we're trying to fix now. But we don't really know for sure. We ought to find out. So we actually issued from that hearing a special access request to the archivist, because when they use that autopen, Larry, there's supposed to be a record of that authorization. And so this is, I think, again, you go further and further down this trail to figure out what actually happened. And more importantly than that, sometimes I think it's important to look at this as we can never let this happen again. Right? We dealt with this 100 years ago with Woodrow Wilson. There was concern when JFK was assassinated, which is why the 25th Amendment came about. What do you do when a president's incapacitated? We may need to look at some additional solutions, again, as guardrails, because you can't have a faceless apparatus in charge of the country. It's the only office where everybody in the country elects one person to make important decisions. And what happens when that one person isn't in full in charge and able to do his job? We ought to take a serious look at that.
Right, I agree. I mean, so when will you know? The archivist, by the way, who's the archivist?
It's Marco Rubio right now.
That's
I saw Secretary Rubio in the classified briefing on Iran and told him I got a letter coming your way in your capacity as archivist. So
did he know? Did he know he was archivist?
Oh, he does. Yeah, he's aware.
Oh, okay.
He laughed about that. But so hopefully we get to the bottom of what was going on with President Autopen.
All right, terrific stuff. Many thanks, Senator Eric Schmitt. We appreciate it very much. Hope to see you soon.